Welcome to episode 2 of the Acupressure podcast. My name is Russ Johnson, and I am a licensed massage therapist currently practicing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I am also a Jin Shindo student. My podcast partner is Steve Summers. Steve is a licensed massage therapist, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and a senior Jin Shindo instructor. Today, we will be discussing some components of acupressure, things like acupoints, meridians, and strange flows. Before we get started with today's episode, I needed to clarify something I'd said in the first episode. I mentioned that I took Steve's acupressure class at Cumberland while I was in school to become a massage therapist, and it was actually Mary Beth Crawford was my acupressure teacher. Steve had come in and taught one class about 5-element theory, and he had mentioned Jin Shindo several times, and that was my actual introduction to Jin Shindo. Mary Beth is a great teacher. I just wanted to clarify. Without any further ado, here's the second episode of the Acupressure Podcast. Welcome to the second episode of the Acupressure Podcast. I'm here with Steve. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Russ.
And today we thought we would discuss some of the components of acupressure, such as strange flows, meridians, acupoints. And there's so much more to Jin Shindo than acupressure. I think everything in acupressure is involved in Jin Shindo, but Jin Shindo has much more layers to it, as far as I understand.
It's a wonderful description. I think there are some components of acupressure that we don't utilize in Jin Shindo, and definitely there are concepts and theories in Jin Shindo that we utilize that are not part of traditional acupressure. So I think that's a great description.
So I know acupoints are something that is used in both acupressure and Jin Shindo. So if you could just give us a brief description of what acupoints are and their role in acupressure and Jin Shindo.
Absolutely. There are places on the body that are called acupoints, and there's a bunch of scientific descriptions for that, which I would be happy to mention in a moment. What the most important thing for acupoints are is that over the centuries, being humans, what people found is that there are places on the body that are important for our functioning, or that when there's dysfunction, certain places hurt or become tender or tense. And so these have become acupoints. No one really knows how they were found out. The tradition says that through centuries of awareness and investigation and knowledge, that this was just found out to be true. And I love that, because now that I have studied so many different kinds of modalities of body work, everyone finds these points. They are just true on a human. And so acupoints is the way that the Chinese system developed to describe these places. So we use them in acupressure almost all the time. In Jin Shindo, one of my two hands is on a traditional acupoint, something that's been described for centuries in maps or text. And all of acupressure uses these same acupoints. There are 361 traditional acupoints from many centuries ago, and then over the time that Chinese medicine has developed, there are approximately 200 of what are called extra points, and then there are approximately 200 called modern points. There's over 700 points on the body. And most acupressure modalities use somewhere between 50 and 150 of them on a regular basis every day, and we mentioned that last time. The fun thing is that nobody knows exactly what they are, but we can talk about them. One thing that acupoints are is a place on the skin where there's less electrical resistance. So it's like when I was a kid, I used to like to stick forks or paper clips in a light socket. I don't know if anybody else did that, but that's what I used to do. And so like an acupoint on the skin, right on that place, it's like sticking a paper clip into a socket, and you get quite a jolt. But if you stuck a rubber band in there, the electricity wouldn't go through the rubber band and you wouldn't feel anything. Mm-hmm. And so the skin that's surrounding the acupoint has that same kind of experience as a rubber band. In modern times, and this is the part that is most fascinating that I love, is that they've shown that many, many acupoints are the places in the body where the superficial fascia, the connective tissue that runs between our skin and everything else underneath it, where the superficial fascia diverges or connects to deep fascia, the connective tissue that surrounds our organs and our muscles and our bones and everything else inside. Those places where those two connect is often where acupoints are. So in that way, the mystery, the thing that's very strange to people, that points that we hold on arms or legs can affect deep inside organs of our body or the systems of our body, the connective tissue is connected throughout our whole system. And so that is a modern explanation of what acupoints are. And I love that explanation. It just creates a whole giant opening of possibility.
And that's one of my favorite things about the acupressure and Jin Shin Do is that if you want to look at the Eastern philosophy, you can do that. Or if you want to look at Western medicine, you can do that. It overlays nicely to anyone that might be skeptical of energy work or any of that old woo-woo stuff.
Yes, the strange and weird Chinese medicine that says that it's like the wind or like the heat or the dampness. Yes, that's we can go from that kind of strange and wonderful stuff to something very specific. And from a bodywork perspective, all people have chronic tensions, and chronic tension in the body almost always involves connective tissue. And so if we have a way of holding acupressure points that directly allow the connective tissue to hydrate and to loosen and to be restored, then we can pretty much approach any tension in the body by using acupressure. And that is very exciting.
So I want to ask you, is every acupoint on a specific meridian, or are there some points that are just kind of out in the middle of nowhere, like Pluto? They don't really belong, but they're just there.
They used to be a planet, but now they're not. Yes, there are acupoints that are both, and that's that piece. And you use the word meridian, and so we just want to talk about that for a moment. The word meridian usually refers to what the traditional text called organ meridians, and that is a system of channels or flows that connect acupoints throughout the body. And there are pictures of them from thousands of years ago. People have known about them, and often when I'm holding points on clients, they can feel the connections. They're like, oh, I knew you were going to go there, or that place feels connected. And so most of the acupoints that we use in Jin Shin Do are on those traditional rivers of energy or meridians, and are all connected up. Many of the 700 that are named are not necessarily directly on those original flows. There are 8 extra meridians and 12 organ meridians. If you come to basic Jin Shin Do, I get to do my infamous 20 main flows lecture. And in that 20 main flows lecture, we talk about the 12 original organ meridians, which if anybody's ever seen an acupuncture chart or studied acupressure, usually those 12 organ meridians are the main flows that people base all of their work on. And then the 8 flows that you mentioned are what in the original texts are called extra meridians. And in our language, they're called extra, but we have 2 general meanings for extra. One is extra, like superfluous, like who really cares, they're extra. Then we also use the word extra, like with paper towel, like it's extra absorbent, it's extra special. And that's more like what these extra meridians are. And they have become known as the extraordinary vessels, using that extra in a word that makes more sense to us, extraordinary vessels. And in Jin Shin Do, we call them the strange flows, because the creator of Jin Shin Do, Iona Teagarden, thought that they were very strange and wondrous. And so we have fun by calling them the strange flows. So there are 12 organ meridians, and there are 8 extraordinary vessels or strange flows that we use. And that is one of the biggest differences between many acupressure modalities and Jin Shin Do. In Jin Shin Do, our foundation of the work that we go back to and that we layer in as the very foundation of everything that we do is in the strange flows. And most other acupressure systems use the 12 organ meridians as their basic foundation of therapeutic technique.
So I know that each meridian has a partner, and we'll get into that in another episode. Do strange flows also have partners, or are they individual?
They do. They also have partners. That's one of my favorite Iona Teagarden quotes is, one of the reasons she likes acupressure is that nobody's ever alone. Everyone has a partner. And so the organ meridians are 6 partnerships, and the strange flows are 4 partnerships. And one of the ways to remember that is that this whole meridian and acupressure system comes from a philosophy called Taoist philosophy. Not everyone's familiar with that. Almost everyone is familiar with the yin-yang symbol now. And so that yin-yang symbol that shows that all of everything is made up of cyclical change into opposites, that sort of gives that foundation that everybody has a partner. Yin always has yang, yang always has yin. And so in acupressure theory, which is based on the Taoist philosophy or based in a culture that followed Taoist philosophy, everyone has a partner. There's always a yin to the yang.
So I guess that's about it for time. Is there anything else that you wanted to add about acupoints, meridians, or strange flows?
That is a great question. There is so much. I wish we could talk for hours about it. I'm delighted to just have a time to create a foundation and to chat about it. Folks that have questions, you're welcome to email or request us speak more about particular points or meridians or flows, and we will continue to do that. The most wondrous thing is that when I'm holding a point on someone's body, all of that information is there, whether I know it or not. And so as we spend time giving more foundational information, that's one big piece. And then the other piece is just how wonderful and amazing it is to hold an acupoint or to hold 2 acupoints on someone's body and just be immersed in the process, whether the theory is there or not.
We don't have to understand how the sausage is made to enjoy the sausage.
Thank you very much for saying that in a much better way than I just said it.
I'm a simple person.
Great. Yes, exactly. Well, that's why we are the great yin to the yang. I tend to make things overly complex, and you tend to simplify things in a beautiful way. So this is a beautiful partnership.
Absolutely, in more ways than one.
Yes. Thank you for chatting with me this morning, Russ. I so much appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for taking time to talk with us, and we will talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Have a wonderful time.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Russ.
If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at acupressurepodcast@gmail.com. You can also visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/acupod. That's ACUPOD. Steve's website is bodyperspectives.com. You can email Steve at bodyperspectives@verizon.net. My website is russjohnson.massagetherapy.com. You can email me at russjohnsonlmt@gmail.com. For any questions about Jin Shin Do, visit jinshindo.org. JINSHINDO.org. Cumberland Institute is located in Brentwood, Tennessee. You can visit their website at cumberlandinstitute.com. Debbie Valentine Smith is another senior Jin Shin Do instructor. You can visit her website at bodymинdeast.com. Thanks for listening.